look like Caitlin Clark's civil rights has sparked a WNBA and NBA probe by the Trump administration.
The WNBA commissioner is officially in the hot seat, and listen to this. New reports are saying the whole Caitlin Clark civil rights saga has just blown up into a full-blown government probe. Yep, things just went federal. And the crazy part, this isn't just about basketball anymore. It's morphed into a massive showdown of politics, power, and who's really pulling the strings behind the league. So what do you think? Is this investigation genuinely about justice for Caitlin Clark, or is it just pure politics at work? Seriously, drop your take below. Alright, buckle up, because this story has so many layers, it makes an onion look like a simple line drawing. We've got Caitlin Clark, the WNBA brass, and now, out of nowhere, we've got the Trump administration and the Department of Justice poking around. Yeah, you heard that right, this thing has officially gone way past sports.
Months ago that Trump and his administration was coming. I've been preaching on it. I didn't think it was going to hit the NBA first. I thought it was coming to the W first, simply because of Caitlin Clark, her civil rights being violated, and these damn referees.
Reports are screaming that a civil rights review has been sparked over how Caitlin Clark was treated throughout the entire season, covering everything from the wild ref calls to the league's less than stellar response to the absolute fan chaos, and even what many are calling a hostile environment she faced. And guess what? The commissioner is getting completely dragged for it. Now, if you've been following this channel, you already know we've been covering the Caitlin Clark saga from day one, like a hawk. First, they totally downplayed the rough play, then they flat out ignored the fans begging for protection, and then they just pretended like nothing was wrong when clips of Clark getting absolutely hard fouled went viral every single week. And now, here we are, months later, with the Justice Department actually looking into it, because apparently, when a league spectacularly fails to protect its biggest star and creates an environment that looks undeniably biased, somebody in Washington does take notice. The Wall Street Journal was the first to hint at this whole thing months ago, saying straight up that if the league won't protect its superstars from a hostile environment, then the government should. And let me tell you, that line aged like fine wine, because that's exactly what's happening now. But here's where it gets truly wild. Sources are whispering that this civil rights angle was one of the major factors that first caught the Trump administration's attention. They were already looking into sports gambling issues in the NBA, and then bam, someone brings up the Caitlin Clark situation and how unequal treatment could perfectly fit under a civil rights review. You seriously cannot make this stuff up. Peace.
Now, Stephen A. Smith has been someone too that has been vocal, has been an advocate about this probe happening. Now, I am here to tell you,
Stephen A. Smith even called this out way back in August, saying that Trump's people were watching the WNBA closely. He wasn't just guessing either. He said flat out that a senator was already talking about this behind the scenes. Fast forward to now, and boom, it's not just whispers anymore. It's all over TV.
You know what world that I live in terms of politics? How many times, for one incident after another, have I said, Trump is coming? He's coming. I'm gonna say it on national television again.
So let's break down exactly why the commissioner is getting absolutely roasted right now. Simple. It's a leadership failure, plain and simple. While Caitlin Clark was getting hammered and brutalized on the court, what was the league doing? Oh, just posting women empowerment tweets and pretending everything was perfectly fine. Fans weren't buying that for a second, and even totally neutral observers started openly calling the league anti-Clark. Think about it, she was the single biggest draw in WNBA history, yet somehow also its most targeted and physically abused player. The refs let blatant egregious contact go uncalled. Other players took cheap shots at her in interviews, and the league, they just stayed completely silent. How about that for a story, huh?
That's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin Clark, the Department of Justice, and quite possibly the President of the United States himself. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. But one thing I will not do is take credit for this. I am looking at the Wall Street Journal, The author of the article is a guy by the name of Sean McLean.
And that's precisely where the civil rights part of this whole mess stomps in. Because under federal law, if a league demonstrates bias or fails to apply its own rules equally, especially when race and public perception become intertwined, that can very quickly become a massive problem. And guess what? It is one now. The Trump administration's interest in this makes it even messier, because they clearly see Caitlin Clark as America's sweetheart, a powerful symbol of hard work and pure merit. So if they genuinely believe she's being mistreated, you better believe they're going to run with it, and hard. Stephen A. warned everyone, if that base, meaning Trump's base, picks up this story, the WNBA is gonna live to regret it. And now, every single talking head, from ESPN to Fox, is piling on. Some are calling it long overdue accountability, while others are quick to label it outright political interference. But either way you slice it, this is spectacularly bad news for the commissioner, because you simply cannot lead a major league and look this utterly clueless at the same time.
Instead of protecting its transformative star, the league's leadership ignores the relentless targeting of Ms. Clark, treating its greatest asset as if she were a PR headache. That approach could turn into a legal liability for the
WNBA, let's be real here. This entire disaster was not hard to prevent. All they had to do was ensure refer calls were consistent and that their own players weren't taking cheap shots and throwing shade on social media. But no, instead, they bafflingly acted like Clark's immense popularity was some kind of threat, instead of the once-in-a-lifetime blessing it clearly was. And now they've got the feds sniffing around, asking tough questions about why league officials reportedly ignored complaints. That, my friends, is never ever a good look. So now the headlines are out, and the WNBA commissioner is catching absolute fire from every single direction. ESPN, Fox, The Blaze, even political podcasts are covering it. Some are calling it a reckoning. Others just shrug and call it karma. Either way, it's devastating. You've got senators asking pointed questions, journalists digging deep into old referee reports, and social media sleuths meticulously pulling every single clip where Caitlin Clark got elbowed, pushed, or smacked without a single call. There's even a highlight reel on X, formerly Twitter, titled "The Hits That Changed the League," with millions of views, and the commissioner? She's over here talking about fostering equality and supporting diversity. Great speech, but hilariously wrong timing, because people want answers, not hollow hashtags. Fans are flat out roasting her, like one post that absolutely nailed it, saying, "How do you run a league that lets its most marketable player get bullied on live TV?" Another commenter chimed in with, "If this happened to LeBron or Curry, heads would have rolled already." Honestly, it's hard to argue with that one. Even former players are chiming in now. Some are defending the league, claiming it's just part of the game, but others are flat out saying what everyone's been thinking. The refs treated her differently. And when enough insiders start saying the exact same thing, that's when it morphs into a real, undeniable problem. Because now, the DOJ and the Trump administration are both interested. And when those two names are in the same sentence as your league, you know it's beyond serious. Here's the part nobody wants to admit. This truly didn't have to happen. The WNBA could have handled this quietly months ago. A few suspensions, some much needed ref accountability, a clear, unequivocal statement that all players will be protected equally. Done. Instead, they foolishly pretended it was just media drama. Now they've got federal lawyers calling it a full-blown civil rights probe, and reporters are openly asking whether the WNBA violated its own anti-discrimination code. You can thank pure arrogance for that spectacular blunder. See, the league actually thought Caitlin Clark's popularity would just blow over, like some fleeting social media trend. They didn't realize she was the trend. They totally underestimated how much the public truly cared about her. And worse, they treated her unprecedented success like a perceived threat instead of an incredible opportunity to grow. So here we are. The commissioner's office is reportedly under internal review for how it handled Clark's complaints about unfair officiating. The Wall Street Journal's powerful piece about the hostile environment is being used as direct evidence. Emails and memos are being aggressively requested, and according to one insider, they are absolutely panicking. Even Even Stephen Smith, who has been warning the league for months, said this very morning that this is just the tip of the iceberg. He explicitly stated that the Trump administration has been watching the WNBA ever since Caitlin Clark became a prominent political talking point. And yeah, he's probably right, because let's not pretend politics and sports don't mix. They absolutely do. The second the White House sees public outrage of this magnitude, they jump right in. Trump's people know Clark is popular. They know she represents a huge, passionate fan base that feels completely ignored. Do you really think they're gonna pass up that chance? Not a chance in hell. Now let's talk about how this looks for the WNBA. It's truly bad optics. Monumentally bad. A league that constantly preaches fairness, empowerment, and equality is now openly accused of doing the exact opposite of ignoring bias, letting refs openly play favorites, and catastrophically failing to protect the one player who single-handedly boosted their ratings. The commissioner's official statement so far? A short 2-paragraph press release meekly saying they welcome all oversight and support transparency. Translation, they're sweating bullets. Because here's what comes next. Subpoenas, intense testimonies, referees being grilled about their decision-making process, coaches being questioned about alleged league instructions. It's gonna be incredibly messy, and when the truth finally comes out, if even a fraction of the rumors are true, it's going to absolutely destroy whatever progressive, inclusive image the WNBA has been desperately trying to sell. And you know who wins in that entire scenario? Caitlin Clark, because once this is all over, she's gonna walk away as the ultimate symbol of justice, the player who bravely stood up against blatant bias. Every single brand will want to sign her, every major company will want her in their ad. Meanwhile, the commissioner will be lucky to still have her job. Now let's talk about the civil rights side of this. People hear that phrase and often think it's just dry legal jargon, but in this specific case, it's absolutely not. If a player is treated unfairly based on bias, whether racial, gender-based, or even due to intense fan pressure, that can, without a doubt, fall under a federal civil rights review. The government's role here isn't to decide who wins games, it's to make sure institutions apply rules equally to everyone. And when millions of people can clearly see with their own eyes that Clark got hammered on plays that drew absolutely no whistle, that is more than enough to raise serious flags. You simply cannot have a league bragging about equality while simultaneously ignoring obvious rampant bias. It's hypocrisy on full, glaring display. And the funniest part of all this, the very same people who said fans were totally overreacting a few months ago are now scrambling, tripping over themselves to say, oh, we totally support the investigation. That's how incredibly fast things flip when Washington gets involved, believe me. And let's be real, this is only gonna get louder. The Trump administration stepping into a women's sports controversy. That's gonna dominate headlines for weeks, probably months. Every news show, every podcast, every sports panel, all talking about the WNBA and Caitlin Clark. And honestly, it might just be the biggest spotlight the league has ever had. Too bad it's for all the wrong, chaotic reasons. But let's get sarcastic for a second, because this part's almost pure comedy. The same WNBA that spent months acting like they didn't need Clark's fame, they're now practically begging her to stay positive, while the league itself gets grilled by federal lawyers. Oh, now she's your superstar. No, she's valued? Please. Where was all that energy when refs were swallowing their whistles every single time she got clobbered? Where was it when players were throwing shade about her media privilege, instead of just trying to, play basketball? Oh, now the league's acting like it's her teammate. Too late, the damage is already done, and it's permanent. And here's the absolute cherry on top. Sponsors are watching this whole thing incredibly closely. Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, all those companies that poured millions into the WNBA brand, they absolutely do not like a federal civil rights investigation attached to their product. So yeah, this is bad for everyone except, well, Caitlin Clark. And if Trump himself speaks on it, which Stephen A says is very, very possible, then buckle up. Because that will instantly take this from a sports issue to a full-blown political firestorm overnight. It'll become Caitlin Clark versus the system, and you know exactly which side the public is picking. Meanwhile, the players who openly mocked her or downplayed her impact are now suddenly silenced. Suddenly, everyone's all about unity and fair treatment. You can practically smell the PR panic from miles away. And let's not forget, the NBA is watching this entire spectacle too, with intense interest. Because if this investigation spills spills over into the NBA's own gambling probe, you will see a wave of executive firing faster than you can even say federal oversight. Like Stephen A. said, this isn't some mere coincidence. It's a clear, unmistakable warning. The FBI doesn't hold press conferences unless it's deadly serious, and they did, which means unequivocally more is coming. So yeah, the commissioner can say whatever she wants, but the court of public opinion has already decisively decided she failed. The fans know it, the media knows it, and now, apparently, the federal government knows it too. And while all this unprecedented chaos unfolds, Caitlin Clark, she's about to get richer, more famous, and more powerful than ever before. Because every single story, every debate, every political soundbite, it's all about her now. She's not just a player anymore, she's a symbol. And symbols, they simply don't lose. So yeah, the WNBA commissioner is under fire, the civil rights probe is heating up, and Caitlin Clark just became the most powerful name in women's sports. Whether this ultimately turns into sweeping reform or a total meltdown, one thing is crystal clear: the truth is coming out. Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and make sure to subscribe for more unfiltered updates right here.